Welcome back. Let's talk about opposition politics now. Politics of the People's Democratic Party, to be precise, of course, looking at it broadly, holistically, gradually on the program. And despite the resolve of the PDP seen in the last couple of weeks with meetings to former President Goodluck Jonathan, meetings to former Vice President Namadi Sambo, to sort of salvage what is left of the PDP, it appears as if there are more losses than gain along the journey. But is that the last to be heard about the resolve of the PDP to get ahead, especially as 2027 approaches? Of course, this comes against the backdrop of the Federal High Court in Ibadan nullifying the Ibadan Convention that was held in Ibadan last year. Let's have this conversation, of course, with those who understand what exactly is happening within the party. And joining us on the program is Mr. George Turner, PDP Secretary, South Zone, and Mr. Mark Jacob, former legal advisor of the People's Democratic Party. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you so much.
Let me start with you, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Let me start with Mr. Jacob. It is the PDP group itself on the other side, that's the Kabiru Turaki, that sought the Federal High Court's intervention to recognize the Ibadan Convention, and they didn't get that prayer from the court because the court nullified the Ibadan Convention. From the legal standpoint, because you are the former legal advisor to the party, could it have explored other legal options to get recognition of that Ibadan Convention? And well, you could also talk about the next line of action from this point.
Thank you so much. Perhaps we should start from what was the subject matter of the suit before the Federal High Court in Ibadan. The PDP went to court asking that court to compel INEC via a mandamus order to perform certain duties. Now, I have not seen the certified true copy of the judgment, but the facts I gathered from my friends that were part of the legal team are very clear. That was the prayer before the court. The judge rightfully said that he cannot grant mandamus because he cannot sit on appeal over the decision of a court of coordinate jurisdiction, and so declined to grant the order sought by the PDP. Now, what baffles me as a lawyer, not as a politician, is that we know that when a court, for instance, says, look, I don't have jurisdiction to entertain this matter, the court ought to stop there and make no further comments or delve into other things that are not before it. But from the little I have gathered so far, the judge went further to say or to make orders in respect of the convention. Meanwhile, these were not the issue before the judge, and I do not think that will stand. We believe in the rule of law. We also believe that the system makes provision for appeal when a lower court makes such orders that we do not believe in and or that do not agree with the clear principles of law. The right approach is for that decision to be challenged in a higher court. That is what I think they have done so far. That appeal, that judgment has been appealed against, because judges do not donate what parties do not ask for.
All right.
They do not do that.
All right. Mr. Turner, let's get your perspectives on this particular ruling from the Federal High Court in Ibadan. Mr. Turner, we would need you to unmute so that we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. You see, first thing is that when you enjoy legitimacy, you don't go about asking for recognition. recognition is not something you ask for. It's something that comes, alongside with legitimacy. Now, what were the issues? We had two judgments of the Federal High Court. One by the Honorable Justice Omotosho. The Omotosho judgment did not stop the PDP convention. We must get it very clear. The Omotosho judgment haven't made findings of fact as to the effect that the PDP was in breach of its own rules, the Electoral Act and the Constitution, ordered INEC not to participate or give clearance or give recognition to any outcome of the November 15th convention in the event that the party goes ahead. But the court, the Omotosho court, did two things that were very fundamental. One, the court gave a hint that these breaches had put the November convention on a jeopardy. The court also went on, having made findings of fact that indeed the PDP had carried on by communications, statutory communications not endorsed by the National Secretary as envisaged by our Constitution. The court nullified and set aside every such communication and notices to statutory meetings that were not signed by the National Secretary. That means that even those statutory meetings that purportedly convened to approve the National Convention were set aside. All of these decisions of the court have not been overturned by a higher court. Now, Justice Lifu, in the Sule Lamido case, directly stopped the November 15th convention. The PDP was restrained not to go on with that convention. Now, in defiance and flagrant disobedience to these two subsisting court, the judgments of court, the party under the leadership of Damagu at the time proceeded to Ibadan to have a social gathering. Now, after that gathering, those who emerged, because they know that in obedience to the two judgments of court, stayed away. Don't forget, there is an order on INEC not to recognize also whatever outcome. So, Toraki, Taminu and Co. approached the Federal High Court in Ibadan, seeking for an order of recognition to compel INEC to recognize them. You can't do that because there's an order of Federal High Court for INEC not to recognize. When they did so, we, who are the beneficiaries of the judgments of Omotosho, we filed for a joinder in that matter, and we were rightly joined. When we were joined, we discovered that they had kept away the fact that there were two subsisting court judgments away from the Federal High Court in Ibadan. And we had a moral burden to bring those judgments before the court and to put the facts before the court as they were. And the court, don't forget, I heard Turaki say that the court granted relief that were not sought for. He forgets that the court has discretionary powers to make orders. And when you go, there's always an omnibus prayer. When you list your reliefs, the court is always prayed to make such further orders as the court may deem fit in the circumstance of the particular case.
Sorry, Mr. Turner,
in the circumstance of this case, the court came to the realization and made findings of fact that there were subsisting judgments, that the PDP had gone in disobedience of these judgments, and that there exists a national caretaker committee away from those who were in court claiming to be recognized.
All right, Mr. Turner, let's take it to Mr. Jacob. Yeah, Mr. Turner, hold on. Let's take it to Mr. Jacob. I see you want to come in. So let's lay bare. I read the statement from the chairman of the PDP, said the judge went so moto for reliefs that were not sought. He's arguing to the fact that there were omnibus, whether relief, he calls it now. But some of these things, and I would like you to speak first as a lawyer before a politician, because I also have a question for him. I have followed through some of the judgment of court, and sadly and with respect, some of these things are precedents set by the Supreme Court. I'll give you an example.
Truly.
Funny enough,
Thank you.
Funny enough, in this case of Rivers State, where the issue was not before the court as to the defection, but Justice, I think Jome, I think it's a judgment, 10-page judgment, gave an exhaustive contributory judgment to that effect. And the argument is to the fact that if appropriation is before, then the dramatics personnel involved in the appropriation cannot escape it. So that's why she dragged it in, and it became, the Supreme Court received a lot of bashing for that particular decision. And the issue, still again, with the issue of Rivers State that has to do with PDP governors going to court to say, Supreme Court, tell us exactly the latitude of the president. Can he go as far as suspending governors and members of the assembly? Well, the Supreme Court, there was a preliminary objection that was granted. We thought by law the Supreme Court should have stopped there, but they went on to what they call a discussion, which is an obiter. Senior Leonard Sake had argued to the effect that since it's a court of policy, we feel that sometimes when objection has been granted, that's the end. But so you speak as a lawyer. So first question, who is the recognized leadership of the PDP as we speak right now? And what is the way forward when it comes to judgment? And it's very concerning for me as a person, because there's a precedent set by the Supreme Court. How does a litigant navigate issues when jurisdictions has been determined, and then maybe preliminary objection upheld, but they go to the substantive issue when they should have ended prior? But he is arguing that still moto is not an argument, because there were certain things that were presented that the court had to use its initiative. So speak to that as well.
You see, if that's why I say from the beginning, I prefer to speak as a lawyer, because we know this thing. I've been in this thing for more than 35 years. And honestly, you would not get any order that you didn't ask for in court. Your prayers, the reliefs you seek in court must be definite and direct. And once you do not ask for a relief, a judge cannot stray into giving specific orders, very clear, definite orders affecting a subject that was not ventilated before a judge. And these are the issues. If the court had a case before it with specific reliefs being sought, there is no way it can stray out of, particularly when it says, look, I cannot even entertain your prayers because it will amount to sitting on appeal on the judgments of my learned brothers of coordinate jurisdiction. So once you make such an order, or once you do such find so, you ought to stop there. But you see, like every one of us knows, these are issues that are going to be tabled before the Supreme Court or the Court of Appeal, as it may be. It is not for us at this level to even argue so much about it. The facts will be determined by the Court of Appeal. The issues will be litigated further. And I know that there will be a finding at the end of the day. You cannot rely on the omnibus ground. No, the omnibus ground sometimes is just on maybe issues of costs and so on. But every relief you seek must be specifically stated and pleaded. You cannot rely on the omnibus ground, and you just cannot rely on omnibus ground to begin to ventilate and make orders that were not sought by either of the parties. It would have been understandable if there was a counterclaim from the other side with this kind of reliefs contained therein. But without a counterclaim, there is no basis upon which the judge should have strayed into such tangent issues that were not litigated.
Let me take it to Mr. Turner.
The judge cannot step in. to make a case for anybody or begin to others that were not sought.
Okay.
It is not done at all. But like I said, the superior courts will entertain this matter very soon.
All right, look, Mr. Turner, for now you're a big beneficiary of this particular judgment, as you've alluded. But let's maybe go away from the court for a moment. At the back of this is the argument around interest. We're going to come back to the issue of the court, because I understand the stay of execution has been applied for. Whether it's been granted, I don't know. So we'll let the court do their work. But let's talk about the politics therein, which is always where we argue both legal and moral issue. And do you think that why the Turaki group is fighting your group is basically not just because of interest, but because of what you laid bare, which is antithetical to democracy in this sense? If you argue, maybe you have another point of view, that your group, led by Nyesom Wike, is not very, like, you're as clear as crystal. You're going to be working for the president. So we may have, if your group is led to stay as a strong opposition voice, which you don't even criticize the government for anything it has done, I haven't seen any, what will happen is that we have a party that ruled the country for 16 years and lost election in 2025, now maybe endorsing the president for the next election. Don't you think that's very unsettling as far as democracy is concerned?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't know if what you refer to as a group is the PDP. Because as it is today, legally speaking, the PDP is where I belong, and I am a zonal secretary. But let me say, assuming there is even a group that you have, like you have stated, Minister Nyesom Wike does not lead a group. He is the national leader of the PDP. And as a member of the party, he has his own fundamental rights. One of those rights is his right of choice. And that is why it's a democracy. And that is why political parties must operate internally on the foundations of democratic principles. Recall that Minister Nyesom Wike has never at any point come out to make declarations either on behalf of PDP or even on behalf of the G5 that, I mean, it was very pronounced that he leads, that the organization or the group or as a team was going to support Mr. A or Mr. B. He has consistently said, I will support Mr. President. Let me even take you to 2023, where Mr. Chief Wike led the G5. Even within the G5, the governor of Benue at the time, Autumn, did not go with Mr. Wike in support of President Tinubu. He chose to support Mr. Peter Obi. That is within the G5. So this thing about Obi, Mr. Wike says he will support President Tinubu, and therefore all of us who associate with him and even himself must now be cast out of the PDP. That is not the principle of internal democracy. The principle is that you will allow Minister Wike to have his say that is going to support President Tinubu and allow majority of the party to have their way. Then it becomes a decision of the party that will be binding on all. That is that. Now, come to the fact that we are today. The leadership of PDP as now clearly established by orders of court, led by Mohammed Abdurrahman. The party is open to dialogue. Look, let me tell you, when people fight and settle their quarrels in the court, it doesn't take away the enmity. It can resolve and give victory to one party and the other side not have it. The enmity and the quarrel, is sustained. But when brothers sit on the table, and put their differences on the table and discuss them, right, you disagree to agree. Right. And at the end of the day, we have a party that covers all of us. PDP is so entrenched, even in the minds of Nigerians, across the nooks and crannies of this country. Everybody's waiting. 2023 was for this party to win the presidency. It was clear. But because of impunity, lawlessness, and grandstanding by leaders, we got to where we are. Today, the same thing, the same characters, the same impunity, disobedience to orders of court. Look at now. Court said, don't hold yourself out as leaders of PDP. They continue to travel in impunity.
All right, Mr. Turner, if you can hear me, I just want to get some clarification, Mr. Turner. Just quickly, you referenced the FCT minister as the national leader of your party, and I've looked through your constitution, and there is nothing like national leader. Is that in a manner of speaking, or have you created another position for him as national leader?
No. It's always conventional.
Okay.
The issue of leadership in our party.
But it's not constitutional.
When we say governors, no. Even when we say governors are the leaders of the party, the state, in PDP, it is conventional. All
right. No, you were specific, national leader. You know, for the APC, they have that. Maybe you're actually copying the APC in this one.
But ours is conventional.
All right, Mr. Turner. Just quickly, I want to ask both of you, what exactly do you want to make of the PDP? Because it would seem the PDP is different things to different people. For some people, very few people, maybe they see it as the only viable opposition. For some other people, they see it as a tool. I recall the governor of your state saying that the FCT minister told the president that, don't worry, I'll hold the PDP down for you, almost as a tool in that sense. So really, and I'll begin with Mr. Jacob before I come to Mr. Turner as we wind out. What exactly do you want the PDP to be in this scheme of things in Nigeria? Is it a real opposition party? Is it a tool for whatever? What exactly is the PDP meant to be for you?
Well, thank you very much. Look, once again, I will speak as a lawyer. The constitution of the PDP is very clear, and I'm happy that you have made it. You have asked the right question. There is no provision in the constitution of the party for any national leader. It has never existed. The PDP is a team. We don't have one national leader anywhere. Everybody has an equal right in the PDP. So this new thing they are borrowing from their new party, of course they are all part of APC, but they want to camouflage. They want to eat from both houses. You are working for APC, but you want to rule and govern PDP. Can anybody in good conscience, like my friend Turner, where was he elected? Where was Abdurrahman elected as national chairman? They sat down in Wike's house and appointed themselves. Turner was elected maybe in the south. But for Abdurrahman and others, like their publicity secretary, all of them got appointments in Wike's house. That is not the kind of politics some of us want to play. And that is not the kind of PDP that we know. Where a person, one person will be in charge. He can call people to his house and give directives, and they will dance. If he says jump, everybody jumps. If he says stop, they stop. If he says go to court, they go. I don't think I want to belong to that type of PDP. And they know it, that even caretaker committee cannot be appointed by Wike. Assuming there was going to be a caretaker committee, NEC will have to be convened to set up a caretaker committee.
All right.
But what we have today is a situation where people gather together in somebody's house, particularly in Wike's house, and nominate themselves. I saw somebody say he's a BOT chairman, somebody who has never been a member of BOT in the first place. But he was nominated by Wike to be a BOT chairman. Where are his members? Nobody knows. So the aberration is so much. And they don't have any other branch. If you take them out of Abuja, they don't exist. All the states of the Federation, 32 state chairmen are together with Tani Mutaraiti, 32 out of 37. So where are the branches of the PDP that Abdurrahman is leading? Where are they?
All right, let me quickly ask Mr. Turner the same question I asked you, Mr. Jacob, because it's important to go to the heart of the matter. That's what exactly is the PDP meant to be for? At least, what do you see the PDP as, and by extension for Nigerians? So, Mr. Turner, what is the PDP for you? After all of this, what do you want the PDP to serve in the scheme of things of Nigeria and for Nigerians?
Yes, I will, but let me just quickly address one or two.
We're running out of time, though.
Yes. Look, the caretaker committee led by Abdurrahman was not appointed by any person. We had a NEC meeting. Article 31(2), of our constitution gives NEC the power to appoint committees, and that particular article of our constitution, even in the APC constitution, have received judicial endorsement by the Supreme Court. In Akaredolu case, you recall, when Governor Buni was caretaker chairman of the APC, the Supreme Court said it was correct, and that the NEC of APC at the time had acted in line with its constitution. So it was the NEC of PDP properly convened with a proper notice issued by Senator Samuel Anyanwu as National Secretary that met and constituted the caretaker committee. Now, you see, the PDP, and like I said, must survive. If you look at a number of those who are on the other divide, you will find them in ADC. They have one leg in ADC and all of that. We don't want anybody to destroy this party for us. We are fighting for the survival of this party so that we can provide effective opposition. Opposition does not mean to wake up every morning to abuse the president or the party in power. Opposition means holding the party in power, and the administration to account and push them to deliver, on the dividend, because ultimately it is the people that are the beneficiaries. So we are rescuing this party. And let me say this, the struggle for control and of the structure of the PDP is normal, it's politics. At the end of the day, any of the group that is able to have that structure, everybody should come together and support the leadership so that the party moves forward. We don't want this party to go down. And that is why we are putting everything within our powers to make sure that this party survives. Election, let me tell you, in 2013, some leaders of this party led 5 governors out of a sitting president to walk out on a sitting president at Ego Square. At the time, what were they saying? They said it was the turn of the North to produce the president of Nigeria. And to them, it didn't matter if they were going to build alliances with anybody and any party for the North to produce the president. They got the presidency in 2015. In 2019, the North had a second term. 2023, these same people who advocated this fairness and justice in 2015 forgot and came back to want again to become president and to sustain the presidency in the North. And we said, no, it is not fair. It's not fair. Whatever is good for the goose is good for the ganja. So in 2015, it was the turn of the North. You prospered, you moved to other parties.
Mr. Turner, if I may come in there, you did say, I hope I got you correctly, that the Samuel Ayamu's NEC meeting got a court recognition. I hope that's what you said, but because if that was what you said, then it's also seeking legitimacy from the court, because you said earlier that legitimacy is not secured from the court.
No, I didn't say so. Okay. No, I didn't say so.
Pardon me.
I said that Samuel Ayamu was national secretary and he had the legal powers to issue notice. Statutory meetings, and he did issue notice for NEC, and we were NEC members assembled and appointed the Mohammed Abdurrahman caretaker because the tenor, the 4-year tenor of the Damagu, which was originally a Yocha Ayus led NWC, was to expire on the 8th of December.
Okay, if we're on the same page on that one, if opposition is not about grandstanding but constructively holding the ruling party to account, can you tell me a statement that has been issued by the Abdurrahman-led group to hold the APC-led government to account on any recent subject matter? Just cite one. No, there are so many. There are, even at our own end, from even the South Zonal Working Committee that I belong, we do. All right. We do. We even may put forward suggestions that we can make things better for Nigeria. Suggestions, not criticism. And just to point out, Minister Wike insistence is that for the unity of Nigeria, the southern part of Nigeria should be allowed to complete their 8-year presidential
That's not what I asked. You didn't tell me, we weren't specific about any statement that has been issued to criticize this government. Let me quickly go to Mr. Jacob. Evidently, there's so many interests involved in all of the issues of litigation between both groups. And we can cite the Ibadan High Court that approved the PDP convention ahead of the November 15 and 16 convention last year. So speaking of which, are you confident that if this is taken to the appeal level, that the Saminu Turaki-led PDP will get justice?
No. That's
for Mr. Jacob. Pardon me, that's for Mr. Jacob.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you so much. All right. Look, I will summarize very simply that there is no politics that should be determined by courts. Democracy ought to be practiced by people, members of a political party. If you want appointment, go and test your political popularity amongst the members of the party. Don't keep running to courts. And the courts have frowned at this, but unfortunately, we find ourselves being boxed into allowing or taking all our issues to the courts. And that is the main thing that people should take note of. When the SDP and Labour Party engaged in these brickbats, at the end of the day, the court just last month said, look, these are internal affairs. Anything about membership, anything about leadership is not justiciable. And that is the solid position of the law. So it is not for the parties or to political parties to be ventilating the issues in courts. People should seek popularity, seek office among members. But you go to court to get authentication every day. We have cases running into how many that they boast of. Wike, for instance, keeps telling people that they will meet him in court. Even when they were talking about the issues with Fubara, he said the federal government should be careful, or else he will expose them and that they will meet him in court. He will deal with them in court. I don't understand how individuals, politicians, should be using the courts or should be claiming ownership of the courts to ventilate their issues. Let's go and play this politics in our party secretariats, among our members, not in the courts. And yes, when you mentioned the High Court in Ibadan, I was there. The High Court in Ibadan also said, go ahead with the convention. You have fulfilled all the requirements. And so there were competing judgments. 2 from Abuja, 1 from Ibadan, speaking on the same thing. As I said, I regret having all these issues ventilated in the courts. But again, we have competing judgments. And the one in the High Court came last. Lifu issued this order around 3 p.m.
All right.
The High Court in Ibadan issued this order around 5 p.m.
All right.
So the PDP can be said to have been guided and protected by that order to have proceeded to court and with the convention. Now, going to the Court of Appeal, as a lawyer, I'm not permitted to speculate. But we all know the position of the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court on the internal issues affecting or having to do with administering political parties.
And that would be a fine place.
That would be a fine place to anchor the subjects. We must thank you very much, gentlemen. Pardon me, but we must end it for this particular one. Mr. George Turner is the PDP Secretary, South-South Zone, and Mr. Mark Jacob is former legal advisor of the People's Democratic Party. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time on the program, and our best wishes, of course, remain with the PDP in the hopes of a resolution. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
We'll take a moment now. When we return, it will be time to have a difficult conversation about the death of the popular Abuja chorister and the soprano singer. What really happened? Stay with us. We'll be right back.